So, lads, some more trade news coming. And this honestly, this is like some reacception because it seems like basketball in terms of online media is literally just Bleacher Report say something and then people react to Bleacher Report. And this is me reacting to somebody reacting to Bleacher Report. But anyway, these are just suggestions. Obviously, they're not any major trade rumors. These are just people's trade suggestions that do actually make a little bit of sense, to be honest. So also, leave in the comments what you guys think the score is going to be in tonight's Game 6 of the NBA Finals. I predicted Lakers in 6 before the series. I said Lakers in 6 or 7, and I said it before the series. It was a hell of a lot more likely to go 6 or 7 than it was to be a sweep or 5, and people called me crazy. People called me crazy for predicting that. Even in my video, which is called 5 Reasons Why the Miami Heat will win, I literally say Lakers in 6. But yeah, so I could be right on that one. But obviously, Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. These two guys can't really play together. We know that they're going to give. I don't think that any of these trades happen. I don't think Doc Rivers trades them straight away unless he knows for a fact that he can't get them to work together. I think any coach in the world will make an attempt to do it. I think it's one of those things where it's like every single coach in the NBA, to be a coach in the NBA, you have to bet on yourself all the time. And I'm pretty confident almost any NBA coach thinks they'll be the one that'll be able to get these two guys to work. I don't think it's possible. I don't think any coach in the world is going to be able to get these two guys to work together. I think they're both superstars. I think they are both future Hall of Famers. Potential. Actually, no. Maybe. They both have the potential to be Hall of Famers. That's probably the best way to say it. But I'm not entirely sure these guys work together. So, following is 2 trades that people have suggested for these guys. Someone from Bleacher Report suggested that I do think they kind of make sense. So the first one here, Bleacher Report suggests a trade Joel Embiid to the Clippers for Paul George. I don't think this is going to be a straight up trade. I really, really don't. I think that in terms of what they can get, the Sixers can get a much better deal than just Paul George. I think that it will end up being a case of you would need Paul George plus another few things. Well, Clippers don't have picks, but this here, the deal they propose, Embiid and Josh Richardson for Paul George and Ivica Zubac. I think Josh Richardson has the potential to still be really good in Philadelphia. I'm not entirely sure how the contracts line up. If you can get Paul George, and do the Clippers have any good young players? And Shamet? I don't know again how the contracts line up, but if you could get Paul George and Landry Shamet for Joel Embiid, then we're talking. Go get Landry Shamet back, who you traded away for Tobias Harris. Go get him back. And now we're kind of talking. But I think that even though Paul George does fit better, I think that if you can manage to put Shake Milton, Paul George, you can play Ben Simmons at the 4, Horford at the 5, and then I don't know who's going to play at the 3, Furkan Korkmaz or something. Or sorry, Tobias Harris. I forgot Tobias Harris exists. Like that team probably, like on paper, that team should win an NBA championship. I'm not going to say they will because there's a lot of good teams. I'm not even going to say they're going to come out of the East, but on paper, they should be the favorites. Like that team would be nuts. Imagine having those guys, and then off the bench you've got shooters in Korkmaz, Landry Shamet. I doubt the Zubac will be in the trade. And if they can manage to keeping Josh Richardson there off the bench, that could be a serious team. So, while I don't see the Philadelphia 76ers really making this trade, honestly, I see Paul George's value being way too low to go straight up for Embiid. Because Embiid's trade value hasn't dropped. Neither has Ben Simmons. Like, both of them have super high trade value. It's just everyone kind of knows that they're unbelievable. They're just not unbelievable together. But the thing is with Paul George is that his trade value is the lowest it's ever been because of one playoff series where he was exactly like he has been basically every playoff series for his career. Inconsistent. But this trade is a little bit of a weirder one. And this is another mad trade. So a trade to the I don't know what I did just there. A trade to the the Brooklyn Nets. So, a trade to the Brooklyn Nets centered around Joel Embiid. So, Joel Embiid to the Brooklyn Nets for Karis LeVert, Spencer Dinwiddie, Jared Allen, and the 19th overall pick and the 2022 first round pick. That 2022 first round pick is going to be a late first round pick. So, honestly, I could only imagine if this trade actually went down. Because this is a weird one, because it's a weird one. Like, you lose the best player of them all. But you get a bunch of guys that could fit really well with Ben Simmons. Jared Allen doesn't. He just doesn't. Dinwiddie and Karis LeVert would fit very well around Ben Simmons. Jared Allen coming off the bench in the Hassan Whiteside role, with Al Horford starting. That team could be unbelievable. But at the end of the day, it's one of those situations where, is it enough getting back for a superstar? And I'm not entirely sure it is. Would it make the Sixers better having all those guys instead of Embiid? If Simmons is healthy, it probably would. Especially because I still think Al Horford's a borderline all-star level player, if not an all-star level player. Do I think this happens? Not a chance. If you are the Philadelphia 76ers, you are not giving up a player like Joel Embiid for anything less than another superstar. Or a Paul George and 2 or 3 extra good role players. You're not doing it. Just on the off chance that you trade him to your conference rivals and he is able to turn the Brooklyn Nets into the best team in the East. Because that potentially is the case. Like, the Brooklyn Nets right now have a bit of a problem where they have too many good players. They have too many guys that can flat out score the ball. And, like, right now, Dinwiddie's the 4th option on offense. Like, Karis LeVert, Kyrie, Kevin Durant. And it's basically getting Kyrie and Kevin Durant into a playoff team. I don't know how well that's going to be. But if they can get rid of those guys and get Ben Simmons or get Joel Embiid, they've got a very, very much designated big 3 then. And I think that team might work out a little bit better. And they do fit around Embiid better. So this could be a win-win trade. It would make the Sixers better. But I think that making this trade strengthens their rivals. That even if it makes the Sixers better, it makes the Nets better than the Sixers. So I just don't see it happening. I see this trade being a lot more likely. Finding a way to get themselves a Paul George. I can see that being a lot more likely. But then again, every freaking team in the league is linked with Paul George right now. Like, it's a weird one. I'm convinced the Los Angeles Clippers are paying every one of these news outlets to leak all these rumors to bump up Paul George's trade value. Because his trade value post-playoffs was all-time low. But now, if every single team is looking to trade for him, suddenly they're going to almost go into a bidding war with each other. And it's going to be tougher and tougher to get Paul George. I'm fully convinced of that. But what do I think happens? I think that the Philadelphia 76ers started off the season with these 2 guys. I think that if Doc Rivers can find a way to get these 2 guys to work everything out, be able to play together, I don't just mean play together, be able to play together to an extent where it doesn't look like they're getting in each other's ways like they have for their whole career, then, man, give him coach of the year. Give him coach of the decade, because I think it's an impossible job. I think it is impossible. Just like trying to coach that 2013 Lakers team. Like that, it's that level of difficulty. Like, it is that level of difficulty in my opinion. Yeah, so anyway, that is the video. Just a little, quick one talking about potential Joel Embiid trades. 2 of them that I've seen over the last day. And why I think while the Nets one does kind of make sense in terms of Philadelphia getting some pieces that fit around Simmons, I don't think it makes sense because it makes the Nets significantly stronger, who are direct conference rivals. And it doesn't matter if your team gets better, if the team you are competing with, if you make them even better, it's a kind of pointless trade. But I do think Paul George to the Sixers, if they can find a way to get Embiid, makes sense for both teams. And it also makes the Clippers a force to be reckoned with in that Western Conference. If they can add Joel Embiid with Kawhi Leonard, and yeah, Marcus Morris is nowhere near as good as Paul George. But having Marcus Morris there as well is a pretty solid player. Pat Bev, Lou Will, they're probably going to lose Trez. I don't think that makes that much of a difference. and then a bunch of vets that they get for not a lot of money. Like, that team is scary. But anyway, yeah, that is pretty much it. That's the video. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.